Stream. All right, guys, I made it. This was crazy because I turned on everything, getting ready to go, and it wasn't working. My software was not working. And so I just spent the last 25 minutes trying to get everything back up and running. I think I have everything back up and running. So, yeah, I literally just finished or like fixed it like 2 minutes ago. So, yeah. So I wanted to do more research, but I wasn't able to do as much research as I wanted, just because of that whole little situation. But I'm thinking everything is working. Guys, let me know if you can hear me, you can see me, and all that good stuff. And please hit that like button so we can bring some more people in the room. So what we're talking about today is the new proposal. So the new proposal is available, and it's been unveiled. The whole talk, and I'll kind of give you guys just a little, the little backstory, which I've talked about this before, but just for people who have not been following the updates every day, we'll talk just a little bit about how we got to this point and what it means and where we'll go from here. Let's hope where we'll go from here is, well, we're hoping that we're going to get another stimulus check, but what exactly is going to transpire? So that's what we need to talk about. All right, guys. So like I said, please hit that like button. Let's get up to 1,000 likes so we can bring as many people in as possible, because this is good news, and I'll explain to you why it's good news. Now, I know nothing's been signed yet, nothing's been approved, but this is a good step in the right direction. And let's just hope that politicians can figure this out and say, hey, yeah, we really need this, and move forward with it. A lot of and I'm going to say this real quick just because, I read all my comments, and you have a lot of people who are very upset, and some of them are upset with me just because I'm putting out these videos. And you have to understand, I go off what the politicians are saying. So if a politician says this is what we want to do, then I'm going to give you guys that information. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that's what's going to happen, but I am going to tell you this is what they're saying. And then we hope that something will come of it. But as we've seen in the last few months, and I've been following it this whole time, politicians say one thing and then they don't follow through with it, right? And we've seen that happen for the last 3 months, 4 months, really. And even before that, when we had the CARES Act, the same thing. Politicians would say one thing, they actually got the CARES Act signed, it went to it got approved by the House and the Senate, went to the president signed off on it, and then we had a bunch of problems after that. Because the government would say one thing, the IRS would say, hey, we're going to do this, and guess what? It didn't happen. We're going to unveil this website, and guess what? They unveil it, and it's a mess. And so when it comes down to it, I'm relaying the messages to you guys, and this gives you an opportunity when it comes down to the information that I'm providing. I'm giving you what they're telling me and what they're telling us, and sometimes they don't come through, and that's just the unfortunate part of this whole situation. And I think we're able to see it firsthand now, because a lot of people don't really follow politicians, but now they're following these politicians because of the stimulus package and stimulus checks, and people they're in need of help. And so that's how it goes, okay? And the only reason I'm saying this is because there are a lot of I won't say a lot, but there are some people that comment like, oh yeah, this is not good news. And no, this is actually good news. If you've been following stuff, this is good news, because if you're not talking at all, but now you start talking again, and then you have a new proposal, that's good news. That means we're moving in the right direction, okay? All right, let me see. Let's officially start the show, and then we'll go ahead and start talking here. What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So today we're going to talk about this new proposal. Okay, so I still have a lot of research to do. This was just unveiled like an hour and a half ago. Okay, so I haven't been able to really get into all the details, but I do have they put out a one pager, and then they'll give you the whole bill. Now we're not going to go over the whole proposal, but we will go over the one pager, and then there's some additional information that I was able to pick up as well. And then I'll look at the whole proposal, and then tomorrow I'll follow it up with a video that has more detail. Now, what I don't like to do when it comes to proposals, I like to kind of not get too in depth when it comes down to it, because a lot of this stuff can change, okay, or at least some of this stuff will change for sure. So I don't like to put all that, like tell you, okay, it's going to be this, this, and this, and this, and then tomorrow it changes because Stephen Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi decide, okay, we're going to negotiate, and we negotiate this out or what have you. So I don't, I'll give you the basic details, and then we'll just keep following it up to see what happens, what's in there, what's not in there. So I know a lot of you guys have already saw some of the information. There's been some news articles that have come out already, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. But let me see here. Let me flip this over. We will bring up, as I'm doing this, guys, if you guys could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. We've got about 800 people in the room right now, about 400, almost 500 likes. So the goal here is to get to at least 1,000 likes. So if you guys can do that, I'd really appreciate it. And let me go ahead and pull this up here. Let's see, I gotta drop that. Okay, all right. I think that's good. Okay, this is it. So this is the one pager. Like I said, there's a one pager, and then there's the actual proposal, the complete proposal. We'll go over the one pager. I'm going to go in the chat. We'll answer some questions here. There are some things that are in this that are not in this one pager that I will talk a little bit about. The TIN number is one of them, which I saw someone in the chat already mention that. So we'll talk a little bit about, excuse me, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let me get this mic set up right. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is the Skinny Heroes Act. And I talked about this yesterday. I was out at the beach. Hopefully you guys caught that video. If you didn't, I'll post a link up here so you guys can check it out. But I was hoping, this was my wish list. At least the one thing on my wish list was hazard pay, but doesn't look like hazard pay is in there, unfortunately. And so that is disappointing, very disappointing. But I think my mic is a little high, a little loud there. Yeah, so that's very disappointing that hazard pay wasn't in there. No pay for essential workers. They do have, I mean, they're calling it the heroes pay, but we'll talk a little bit about the reason why they're calling it the heroes pay. Or the heroes heroes funding. We'll go into that, but yeah, nothing like essential worker additional pay or anything like that. All right, so 2.2 trillion. That is what the proposal is. So we didn't know if the proposal was going to be 2.2 trillion, or if it's going to be 2.4 trillion, but it looks like it's 2.2 trillion. So Nancy Pelosi is sticking with that 2.2 trillion. And she said something interesting, and I believe this was today. I believe it was today. It was either today or yesterday. But she was just talking about, because reporters, the press keeps asking her, are you going to come down lower? Are you going to come down lower? And finally she said, look, we started at 3.4 trillion. We've come down to 2.2 trillion. So we've come down a trillion, 1.2 trillion, if you really want to look at it, right? Or yeah, 1.2 trillion. And the other side, the Republicans and the White House, the negotiating that they've been doing, they started at 1 trillion. That's the HEALS Act. They went up to 1.3 trillion. And then recently they said, okay, we can go up to 1.5 trillion, right? So if you look at it, they've gone up 500 billion. She's come down 1.2 trillion. So realistically, the question should be, are you going to go up higher? And they've been asking the White House this. Are you guys going to go up higher? But if you really want to meet meet in the middle, then they should be going up a little bit higher. I should have gotten some water. I didn't even have time to do that, so my throat is very dry. So that's why I'm like, but anyway, all right. So 2.2 trillion. That's where we are, and the first thing here. Basically, there's going to be money for a PPP, so that was already kind of a done deal. Now, like I said, I'll go into the details as far as exactly how much. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that in a video tomorrow. I just wanted to get this out here so you guys at least know that there's something available for you guys to check out. I can post this link here, this PDF. I'll go ahead and post it in the chat right now. So if you guys want to follow along or you just want to look later, you can do that. There are going to be plenty of I hope that link works. Let me know if that link works, guys. There are going to be plenty of articles and stuff that will come out tomorrow. And like I said, the full proposal is available. I just didn't have enough time to go through everything on it. I think it's God, I want to say it was 70 or 80 pages or something like that. So I have some homework to do tonight, basically. All right, so the PPP money, there will be PPP funding in there, additional assistance for the airline industry and industry workers. Okay, so this is a huge thing, right? We know in the next couple of days, the airline industry said we're going to have to start furloughing people, which means laying off people, essentially, when it comes to the airline industry. So they would be laying people off. And now I think what they're going to do is the airline industry is going to hold off to kind of see where this goes. If this goes somewhere, then I'm hoping that they're going to just not lay people off. I'm sure if they get funding, they're going to have to keep their workforce. That's going to be a part of the funding. But we don't know exactly when they will start. Like if nothing happens this week, does that mean that the airline industry will start laying people off, or will they wait just because there's something that's pending? Let's hope this is a pending item. Okay, so that's good to hear. There's money for the airline industry and the airline employees. So and the amount, I believe it's 28 billion. Like I said, some of this stuff I was trying to get the research done as fast as I could. And I believe it's a total of 28 billion, 25 billion for the airline, and then an additional 3 billion for something. I'll have to look again. Like I said, tomorrow I'll do a more in-depth video to give you guys more information. Okay, let's see. So as far as education, $225 billion for education. So that's 182 billion for K through 12, 39 billion for post-secondary education, and 57 billion for child care for families. So that's kind of the breakdown there. Now you see that's gone up, right? Because I believe in the HEROES Act, the original HEROES Act, it was 100 billion. The HEALS Act was 105 billion, and now you see we've gone up to 225 billion. So and part of this, I think a big part of this is we didn't realize at the time, because in May, that's when the HEROES Act initially was approved in the House on May 15th. So at that time, we didn't know the situation we would be facing right now. And the whole thought was that the HEROES Act would get approved by the Senate in June, right? It would have been a lot sooner, but that didn't happen. And so because of that, times have changed now, and we have some different demands. And you're saying schools need to open back up and all this. And so because of that, that's why it's gotten more expensive. Kind of like what we were saying. If you try to be cheap, sometimes it's going to cost you more money because of the time wasted waiting and seeing. So we're at 225 billion for education. Now, what I'm hoping happen, and I'm kind of talking, we'll talk about this right now, because this hopefully this will set up everything. But Nancy Pelosi and Stephen Mnuchin talked yesterday. So they talked on Sunday. They also talked today. And so what I hope happened yesterday in their negotiations or in their talks, Nancy Pelosi unveiled that to Stephen Mnuchin to see if it was something that was doable. So that's the hope. That's what I'm hoping. Okay. Now, if she did it that way, that's because you're going to need to get the White House on board. You have to. This is not going to go through if you just approve it in the House and try to do it the same way you did last time. So the way they did it last time, the House approved it, which Nancy Pelosi can get the numbers. That's not going to be a problem. So we can get it past the House, but can we get it past the Senate? The only way you're going to get it past the Senate is by getting the White House on board. So if you can get Stephen Mnuchin to say, okay, yes, this looks good, that's what you need. Because once you get that, then Mitch McConnell has already indicated that if the White House is on board, I will go with what the White House wants. Okay, so because he said that, they just need to work on the White House. And so I'm sure Nancy Pelosi, I'm hoping Nancy Pelosi talked with Stephen Mnuchin yesterday, said, this is what we're planning to unveil tomorrow. What do you think? And he might not be 100% with everything on here, but at least if the majority of this stuff he's 100% with, that's good. And then if there are a few things that they're not on the same page with, maybe Nancy Pelosi could say, okay, you know what, we'll hold off on this and we'll just move with what we have. So that is the hope. Okay, this is it. This is the last ditch effort. So if nothing happens here, like I said, we're not going to see a stimulus check. We're not going to see a stimulus package. This is, if this can't go through, if it, and when I say this, I don't mean this as is, in the entire proposal. I mean, if this negotiation doesn't work, and if they can't come to some type of resolution with something that's similar to this, I would imagine, if they can't come to that resolution, then we're done. Okay, this is really it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so honor the heroes. So this is how they're honoring the heroes. This money, so $436 billion, and that will be going to state and local. Okay, so that is where they're focusing on the first responders, the hospital workers. That's what they're focusing on. Okay, so it's not going to be an additional kind of extra $13 an hour on top of what you normally make. It's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be funding for state and local. Now we saw that Nancy Pelosi was asking for almost $1 trillion, so $900 billion before for state and local. And now, and a lot of that was projected. Like it wasn't what the state and local government needs right now, but it was something that they were kind of projecting. Okay, they're probably going to need this from now until next year sometime. And so now it looks like it's half, right? 436 billion is what they're asking for now. And I'm thinking and this I don't even know where this went as far as the negotiations, but this is one of those situations where it's you could cut that down. Like it doesn't have to be $900 billion. Cut it down and then look at in March or February, March, April, then you can revisit this and you'll probably have, or you are going to have a new Congress. You're going to have different people in Congress. So that could be a situation there, right? So it's not the state and local funding is not something that's urgent that you have to get that $900 billion right now. You can go with this, and they might even drop that number even lower. But it's one of those things where you can get it now, and then you can look at revisit it later. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Testing, so $75 billion for coronavirus testing, tracing, so isolation. Also, what is it? Includes $28 billion for the procurement of distribution of educational campaigns and safe and effective vaccine. So $28 billion for the vaccine, basically, and then education. That's what we're looking at there. Total of $75 billion. Now, stimulus checks. Everybody wants to know about stimulus checks. So the stimulus checks are interesting, right? You know, in the HEROES Act, they wanted the stimulus checks was going to be $1,200 per individual and then $1,200 per dependent. Well, guess what? It's not $1,200 per dependent. It's $500 now. So there is no age limit on the dependent. So it could be a person who's young, old. As long as you're a dependent, you're claimed as a dependent, then you'll qualify for that $500. Okay, so that's how they're working that. Now, let's see. Now, people were talking about the TIN number. So if you are, most people get Social Security, right? I mean, Social Security number. So you have a Social Security number, you work, you're a citizen. But if you are not a citizen and you're working in the U.S., you get a TIN number. So if you get that number, you still, according to this bill, you still will qualify for, God, was it the, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah. So actually, let me see here. You guys need to let me know this because I can't even remember. I can't remember what I read, but I believe the TIN number is for the direct payment. So if you have a TIN number, you still qualify for the direct payments for the $1,200. I can't remember if it was direct payments or the enhanced unemployment, but I believe it was the direct payments. So anyway, somebody let me know in the chat. I read it. I know I read it, but I just can't remember it. It's not on here. They didn't put it on the short. On the one pager. Of course, they wouldn't put it on the one pager, right? Because you're going to have Republicans that are going to be very upset with the fact that that's in there, the TIN number, because people are going to be like, well, what are you talking about? Undocumented immigrants getting money from the government? No way, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be what they're talking about tomorrow, right? That's one of the glaring things that I can see them arguing about. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they do with that. But all right. So I was just looking in the chat real quick. Somebody's telling me I'm wrong, and Kevin is right. All right, Beth, tell me where I'm wrong. What did I miss? Direct checks. Okay. Yeah, and I believe it. Yeah, I believe it was the direct checks. I just couldn't remember. I was looking through a bunch of different things before. Like I said, I'll have more details tomorrow. I just wanted to come on here and let you guys know what was going on. Let's see. Okay, so we have the. Okay, so some of this stuff, like this retention tax credit, this thing I have here in the pink color, I need to look into that. I don't know what exactly that entails, so I'll have to look and do some more research on that. Now, liability protection, that's something that Mitch McConnell was talking a lot about. And so what Nancy Pelosi has been talking about this whole time is OSHA. So OSHA already has certain guidelines. And what they want to do is they want to use the CDC's expertise. So they want the CDC to step in and say, okay, these are the guidelines that every business should go by in order to be protected when it comes to liability, which I think is good. You have to have something uniform, right? The way that the liability protection was created before, I'm looking at this stuff here. The way that the liability protection was created before is it gave businesses a lot of leeway. Okay, when it comes to how they, the different guidelines and stuff, is you have something universal coming from the CDC saying you have to abide by these guidelines in order to be protected. That's something that I think is more responsible, because you're going to have businesses that are going to be like, well, I'm not going to get sued, or I can't get sued, so I'm just not going to provide the protections that I should be providing. You have to be, what do they say, grossly negligent or what have you. So almost like knowing people have COVID, but telling them they need to come into work and stuff like that. You have to do stuff like that, but you don't have to provide anything extra. You might not have to provide masks for your employees. You might not even have to say, hey, you have to wear a mask. So just different things like that. You might not be cleaning the place like you probably should be cleaning the place. You won't have the alcohol wipes or alcohol solution, so customers can use it, stuff like that. So having a guideline coming from the CDC I think is a real good thing to do. So we'll have to see where that goes. You might get some pushback because Mitch McConnell wants the businesses to have more leeway. Okay, let's see. All right, now this is an interesting one. The preserves health coverage, healthcare coverage. So if you're working and you lose your job, you lose your health your health coverage, right? So what this would allow you to get ACA. Now this is going to be another thing that Republicans are going to be upset about. But the Affordable Care Act, you know that right after the election, I believe it's November 10th, the Supreme Court will start hearing the Affordable Care Act, that case, to see if they can, the whole thought is they want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. So in here, you would have subsidies so you can get on that exchange. So if you lose your job, you no longer have health insurance, but you can get on the exchange as a result of losing your job during this time. So, of course, that's going to get some pushback from the Republicans because they're going to be like, well, no, we don't want to do that. And because their whole goal right now is to try to dismantle the ACA. All right, $600 per week, okay? So that's the unemployment. So instead of, we heard about this, is it going to be 400? Is it going to be 450? Democrats they're sticking with the 600 per week, okay? That is another thing that Republicans are probably going to look at and say, no, that's too much. They're getting paid more. They're, the talk, right? They've been talking about this forever. So that might get negotiated down. We'll have to see where that goes. Now, this will be until, I believe they said January of next year. So a little bit of time, but what they've had to do, I think they wanted it to be even longer than January, and I think it goes back. I think they're going to prorate it from September 6th, or like retroactive from September 6th. So nonetheless, that's what they're putting forward. And so, and this is the thing, like, if you don't want to, if you don't want to put, I mean, we saw the Problem Solvers Caucus, their proposal, but realistically, the Senate should have put something forward, and they just didn't want. I mean, they put the skinny bill forward, but come on, the skinny bill was a joke. Nobody wanted that. So if the senators really wanted to do something, they would have put something out first. Now it's going to be one of those situations where the House has put something out. Hopefully we can get the White House on board, but you're still going to have senators. You're still going to have senators. Some of these senators don't want a stimulus package at all, but you're going to have them really attacking this proposal. Still, they're going to be attacking it. And it's like it's like one of those situations. Have you ever been in a situation like this where you're with some friends and you guys want to go get something to eat, and a few of you are eating, but one person's not eating, or a couple of people aren't eating, and so then you say, hey, let's go to In-N-Out. Like, that's where we go, right? In-N-Out hamburger. Let's go to In-N-Out. And the person that's not eating, they might say, I'm not eating, but I'm gonna get something to drink, or whatever, get a soda or something like that. And then you say, yeah, let's go to In-N-Out. And they're like, no, I don't want to go to In-N-Out. But they're not even eating. They're not even participating, but they're still, trying to control what goes on. You're going to have senators doing the same thing, where they're not even interested in voting on this proposal. They don't want a stimulus package, but they're just still going to badmouth it. They're still going to say, well, it has money for undocumented. It has money for the ACA, and I'm just telling you, that's what's going to come down. And that's why politicians can't get anything done, because they just go back and forth. So anyway, okay, so food securities, that's going to be on there. Let's see, where is the housing? Okay, I just missed it there. So housing assistance. So there will be funding for housing assistance, which I think is really good. I believe it's $50 billion. Which it's not on here. I'm doing this all from memory. Just it's not on this one sheet here, but I believe it's $50 billion that will go for housing assistance, which I think is good. This is something because you have all these people right now who are on this eviction moratorium, right? They're going to need some help. They're going to need help because some of them they haven't paid rent in months. And so that rent could be $5,000-$6,000 once the moratorium's over, or more. So they're going to need some assistance because if they don't get that assistance, they're just not going to pay. And that's going to all fall on the landlord because now they're not going to get their money. And so that can really have a domino effect when it comes to the housing market. So the housing market, well, yeah, I guess the housing market. So for apartments and as well as some people are renting, they're renting out houses and stuff like that too. So this is good that there's assistance for apartments or for the housing industry. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. All right, let's see. So there's money for the SNAP program. You see that, and then the Safeguards for Democracy. So money for the census as well as the Postal Service. So that pretty much rounds out what's in this one half sheet thing here. And like I said, I'm going to go into some more details tonight, or not tonight, but tomorrow. I'm going to do some research tonight, and then I'll put out a video tomorrow on it. I just wanted to get it out there and show you guys that there's something out, so you guys can start looking at it as well and just be informed. I mean, that's the big thing, right? We need to be informed when it comes down to it. Know what's going on. That way you can hold these politicians accountable when it comes down to, are they going to do something? Now you know that there's something available. You can start reaching out to your congresspeople. Hey, what's going on with this? Is it going to go? Are they going to pass it? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of the politicians and how this all kind of got started or got started up again is you had moderate Democrats that were going to Nancy Pelosi saying, look, we need to do something. They're like, we have elections to win. And we're not going to win if we can't show that if we're not doing anything. And so that's what's really got this ball rolling. And so Nancy Pelosi, at least she, listened and said, okay, well, let's put out a proposal. Let's see where it goes. And so at this point, the hope, my hope is that they've already talked with Stephen Mnuchin. You don't hear that much about Mark Meadows. Maybe he's kind of out of this whole thing right now, which I think will be a good thing. If he's not in the room, that's probably going to be, it'll go a lot smoother. But when it comes down to it, hopefully they're bringing the White House in on this whole thing, and maybe they'll have to do a few little tweaks. Like I said, there's some things in there that they're going to be like, oh, no, we can't have. The ACA thing is not going to go anywhere. I can't see it going anywhere just because of the climate and the fact that that's going to be one of the situations in the Supreme Court in a month and a half from now. So let me know what you guys think in the chat as far as all this goes. And like I said, we'll have some more information tomorrow. And this was, I was not planning on doing a live stream tonight. I was waiting to see if they were going to unveil this proposal, and I was planning to do a video. But since they unveiled it so late, I just said, you know what? I'm going live. I'm going to do it live. So I just came on. All right, guys. So let me know the questions that you have. We'll go ahead and do some Q&A real quick. Just put at TEC or at the TEC show, and I will make sure I address those questions. And if by any, I mean, there are a lot of questions in here I can see already. So if I do miss a question, I apologize. You can ask me in the comments. You can join our Discord. If you want to join our Discord, there's a link in the chat. It should be coming up. It says join the Stimulus Check Discord. You can join that. You can ask me the question over there. So there are ways to reach out to me. Also in the description, my email's there. So if you want to email me, you can do that as well. All right. Norman, so what about Social Security? Yeah, so as far as the guidelines when it comes to this, the direct payments, the stimulus check, it's the same guidelines as the CARES Act. If you received a stimulus check in the CARES Act, you're going to receive a stimulus check in according to this proposal. So if it goes through, it gets approved, it's going to be the same people. Okay. There are a few exceptions. I believe back child support, if you'll still be able to receive the stimulus check if you have back child support, or if you have any other garnishments, you'll still be able to receive. When I shouldn't say any other garnishments, because I'm not sure if it's some type of situations where you owe money to like victims and things like that. You're probably not going to qualify for the stimulus check, but other than that, I think all the other like garnishments, like let's say you owe money to the state or you owe money to tax collector, or not tax collector, but a collection agency or something like that, you will still be able to get your stimulus check. Before they were holding them up for different reasons. So it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But SSI, SSDI, veterans, beneficiaries, railroad retirement, Social Security, all those those categories still apply. Okay, let's see. Okay, so if questions, just put at TEC or at the TEC show. And while I'm looking at this, guys, please, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button. Oh, we're already over 1,000 likes. Thank you guys very much for that. Appreciate that. I wasn't looking at the chat or my readout until right now. Okay, so yeah, but if you guys are in here, you have not hit the like button, please do that. Please do that and help us out. All right, let's go ahead and look at some more of these questions here. Kevin saying, thank you for the report. No problem, anytime. What's going on, Sherry? Sherry's in the building helping us out. Yeah, and if you guys ever wonder, and she brings up the point about if you use any profanity, YouTube automatically blocks that, okay? So that comment is not going to go through. So just so you know that. So you might say, oh, I wrote something on there and it didn't, it didn't go through. Well, if you use profanity, it's not going to go through. Or if you use keywords that they're looking for, it's not going to go through. Like when I say keywords, I mean certain words will be flagged automatically, and not just profanity, but certain words that might be inappropriate. Okay. Okay, and Wickman saying, "I think a check is coming." So let's hope. We'll obviously we'll know more tomorrow and the next day as far as the because what needs to happen, and this is it's kind of a different little situation here, because like I said, we need to get the White House on board. That is what needs to happen, and we can't just have this proposal get approved in the House. We have to get the White House on board before. So get them on board. So there might be some adjustments made to the proposal to get the White House on board. And once that happens, then we're good. Once the White House is on board, the House will approve it. The House will send it over to the Senate. Mitch McConnell, if he keeps his word, which if he keeps his word, he already indicated that he will go with what the White House wants. So if the White House, even if he doesn't agree with it, he will still go with it. He'll at least call it to the floor. Now, calling it to the floor is all that we need. If we have the House approve it, that means you're going to have some Democrats in the Senate that are going to be open to approve it, right? You don't need, all you need is a majority. And I mean, if you get 60, that's ideally what you want, because that will forego any debate or anything like that. So no filibusters. But when it comes down to it, you'll get the Democrats to support it in the Senate, hopefully, and then you'll get some Republicans in the Senate to support it, and that's all you're going to need. You get that 60 votes, and you're golden. You're not going to get all the Republicans in the Senate to agree. They're just not. They're not. Some of them don't want anything, so it's just not going to happen. Okay. And Chris is saying it's not going to be 600. It's going to be lower. I agree with you. It'll probably go a little bit lower, and that's probably why they started it at 600, with the hopes that maybe they'll drop it to 450, and leave it at that. Okay, let's see. Born Beauty Star, what's going on? Let's see. Do we believe this is actually going to pass? Mitch needs to be fired. Yeah, like I said, if he keeps his word, you know what? He tends to listen. He tends to listen to the White House. He tends to listen to Trump. So maybe this is one of those situations where he did say that he would go with what the White House wants. So that's who you need to get through to. If you can get through to the White House, then I think we'll be good. Okay. Born Beauty Star saying the Senate doesn't pass anything. Guess what they're going to confirm, though? They're going to confirm that Supreme Court justice. They will do that. And you see how they're just, and then this, like I said, I did that video last week. This should make you angry. That whole thing we saw, they appointed, or the President Trump appointed the new. Well, I say the new, not yet. There's a new appointment for the Supreme Court, and the thing is, you see how fast they want to move. They're on it, and so you see if the Senate wants to move, they can move, but they've chosen not to do anything. And like I said, I don't even count that whole skinny bill. That was just, I don't know what that was. I know what that was, but I'm just not going to say what it is. I mean, that was just a joke. Okay, let's see. All right, guys, any questions? Like I said, just put at TEC. I'm just going to scroll through and see if I see anything. Richard said, have you been in the Senate? You sure have them pegged. No, I have not been in the Senate. I mean, we've watched it. We've been watching this, and I watch C-SPAN anyway, even before the whole stimulus package stuff. I do have a political background, so I do like to watch the political stuff. So I will watch some of this boring stuff. But so I kind of have an idea of how things work when it comes to the Senate and how the Senate is usually if you want to say they're the more, okay, so all Congress people, they have the same power. They're legislators, so they do the same thing. But the Senate's always looked at, they have more decorum. They're more adult, I guess you could say, than the House. Usually people, when they start up, they're in the House, and then once they get that big opportunity, then they run for the Senate. And so the Senate, generally, they're a little more reserved, and they're adult. They consider themselves, or I won't say I shouldn't say that. They're considered by some as the adults when it comes to stuff. but they don't move very fast. They don't, unless there's power involved and they can get another Supreme Court seat and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're going to jump on stuff like that. Okay. Other questions? I never get this. So John just says Trump 2020. What does that mean? Like, why? What does that have to do with our conversation? I don't understand how that plays into the conversation. Put something on there. Trump 2020. Why Trump 2020? You know what I mean? Like, give us something. You just say Trump 2020. What? What does that mean? Oh, okay, vote for Trump. Why? Tell us why. All right. Canada, $2,000 a month. Yeah. Georgia's saying this is a reasonable bill. I would agree. I mean, it is. Problem Solvers Caucus bill, I liked better. I mean, there are certain aspects that I think they had some better ideas, especially when it comes to stimulus check and having that revisit of the stimulus check. I think that was good, but doesn't look like that's going to be in here. They had to make some adjustments, obviously, because of the state and local funding. So, yeah, but we'll have to see. I'm sure there's going to be some changes made, so we'll just see where that goes. Okay. Any other questions, guys? What do you think of Trump's taxes? I'm not even going to get into that. I mean, you guys all know what happened, right? What the New York Times came out saying that looks like for the last, was it 11 years or something like that? Trump has been paying either no taxes at all or $750. I think was it 2016, 2017? He's paying like $750. That was his total that he paid in taxes. That's crazy, right? The average person pays $12,000 in taxes a year, and he was paying $750. So some people might say, "Oh, well, he's smart. He was able to do it that way. He's smart." Uh, yeah. You guys could decide on your own how you feel about that. So if you're saying he's smart, then what are we, right? The average American, we're just not smart. And we work, make less money, and pay more in taxes. Yeah. Okay. So Ari's asking let's see, are the unemployment benefits retroactive if the bill is approved? So from what I was gathering, some of the research that I did right before I came on, it looks like it's retroactive from September 6th. So that's the way it looks. Okay. Now, like I said, there's a lot that has to happen. It has to be approved, and it's going to have to go through the whole process. So we won't know. Okay. Other questions? So Greg's asking, so how will the airlines be affected? Your opinion. How would they be affected if they don't get the money? They've already indicated if they don't get funding, um, they're going to furlough. They're going to furlough people, and this is United, American Airlines, and Delta, as well as I believe some of the other smaller carriers like Southwest. I don't know about JetBlue, but they've already indicated they've already actually given the furlough notice. Like if you watch, this is something I kind of got into this. I don't know. I like to travel, so it's kind of interesting to me. But there are a lot of flight attendants that have YouTube channels, So if you just type in flight attendant YouTube, you're gonna pull up some flight attendants, and it's cool because they're always traveling, so they're going to these different destinations, even though they're only going to be there for a day or so. But it's just interesting to see kind of how how the flight attendant life is, right? Well, a lot of them they've done videos. They were doing videos in August saying that they got their information saying that they're going to be furloughed. So they've been notified already. And some of them, they started um, God, not a moveon.org. You know, the petition. They started a petition to try to get Congress to get this proposal through. Not this one specifically, but get a proposal through that helps the airline industry. So yeah, go on. I mean, a lot of them have already been notified. So it's already effective October 2nd or effective October 1st. So if they don't get any funding, we'll have to see if the airline industry, maybe they'll hold off a little bit in hopes that something can get done and they don't have to do the furloughs, or they'll just start doing the furloughs. And we can't let this is one of those situations. The airline industry is one of the things you just can't let go. You can't just let it fail. You just can't. These are all of our legacy carriers. Who are we going to be flying on if we don't have airline, if we can't fly, right? So we're not going to be able to let them fail. It's just not going to work. So there is going to have to be some type of funding for them. And it's not just for the airlines, right? Like getting our mail, UPS, Postal Service mail, a lot of that stuff goes through the airline carriers. They will carry that mail. So it's just one of those things we cannot let go. And so you're going to have some type of funding some way. If it's an executive order by the president, it's going to have to be that. Or if it's, if we can get a bill through Congress, it'll have to be that. But this is going to be one of those emergency things that's going to happen. Oh, whoop, I just missed. Okay, so Alex is asking here, this is a good question. So Nancy Pelosi put in $600 for unemployment benefits in the bill. How would that go down to 450? Isn't it straight up except? Okay, so when it comes to these proposals, everything's negotiable. Okay, so there's no, and this is the problem. And I did hear people that when the HEROES Act, the original HEROES Act, was approved by the House and sent over to the Senate, people were saying, well, it's dead on arrival, it's this, it's that. And that was only because the politicians were saying that. But the politicians knew that if they wanted to make changes, they could have made changes. They could easily make changes to a proposal or to a bill and then send it back to the House. Now, it would have to go for another, like in a situation like this, now this is just a proposal, so they can make changes even before they vote on it. So they can do that in the House. But let's say the House approves something and they send it over to the Senate and it's a $600 enhanced unemployment per week. And then the Senate says, nah, you know what? We don't want 600, 450 is what we want. They can change it. Okay, the politicians can make that change. The senators can make that change and then send it back to the House, and then the House has to approve it. So this whole notion that, oh no, it's what the way it's drafted, it has to stay the same. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And politicians, they will do that whole thing where they'll say, no, this is dead on arrival, and this bill has this in it. It has the marijuana research, and they'll say all that stuff, right? But they could change it if they want to. They're choosing not to change it. And the reason why they're attacking it is because they don't want to vote on it anyway. They don't want to vote on it anyway, so they're just going to attack it, and they hope that this is where education comes in when it comes to knowing what politicians can and can't do. That whole argument that was put out there where they wanted to wait. The HEROES Act was approved. They wanted to wait and see, and then they were attacking the bill because it had this and it had that. It has too much pork. Take the pork out. They could have taken the pork out. The senators could have done that. They chose not to do that, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in now. So it has nothing to do with once the proposal's on the table that it has to be exactly what it is. No, that's what they've been trying to do. The White House, Stephen Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, and Nancy Pelosi, they've been trying to negotiate something because you can make changes. Okay, so I was just saying I wasn't sure about that. Yeah, so that's how it works. Politicians aren't going to tell you that, though. They're not going to tell you that because they want you to think, oh, there's nothing that can be done, so that's why they're not voting on it. No, they could do something. They can make changes to it. Let's see. Kamika's asking how fast will the stimulus checks go out. First off, we need to get something approved. We need to get it approved and signed by the president. Once that happens, then we'll have a better idea of a time frame. And I'm sure that question is going to be posed to Stephen Mnuchin, because he's going to be the one that's in charge of getting the money out, right? I would think that it would be faster than it was last time. Last time it was, we got the checks were coming out 2 weeks after the CARES Act was approved. So by the April 15th, I believe, is when the checks started coming out. That was the first wave. And so that was for people who filed their taxes in 2018, 2019. So they got it done in 2 weeks once it was approved and signed off by the president. So that it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks to get the first round out, but they might even be able to get it sooner than that because they have all the information. Nothing's changing. All they need to do is, hit the whatever button they hit that sends out the checks or the direct deposits. That's all they need, and they have a lot of our direct deposit information and all that. So it's they don't have to wait that long. Okay. So so William's asking, could we see this pass this week before the House goes on recess? What I'm focused on is not getting it voted on. Well, it would be ideal to get it voted on this week, yes. But what I'm focused on is what is the White House going to say? I'm waiting until tomorrow to see how the White House responds to this. If Mark Meadows is in the building, I want to hear what he has to say about it. I'm sure they're going to be on TV tomorrow talking about this. I want to see what their response is, what Stephen Mnuchin's response is. Because if they're saying, you know what, we can work with this, we're good. We're good. And maybe they can go ahead and move forward, put it on the floor. But if there's still stuff to be negotiated, which I'm thinking there's probably still going to be stuff to be negotiated, then let's get that negotiated. Do it in the next couple of days, even if it takes the rest of the week to do that. Do that, and then you can always call, because if the House goes on recess, if Congress goes on recess, they can always call them back, right? Because they've already told them you guys are on call, or at least in the House. They told them you guys are going to be on call. So they'll go on recess, and they'll know, okay, if we do get something negotiated and it goes through, we're going to call it to the floor. They'll call them back in, just like they did for that postal bill that they approved in the House. They called them all back on a Saturday and they voted on it, and so they can always do that. But what I'm focused on, what is the White House going to say about this? Because if they give the thumbs up, or if they give the, hey, you know what, a lot of this stuff looks good, we got to work on a couple of things, then that's what we want to hear. We want to hear them work on those couple of things and then get that resolved by the end of the week. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions here? Miss Happy Apple, what's going on? Thank you for being here. All right, we're just going to go through the last questions here. And so Maureen is asking about the $200 that they're sending out. So that's separate. That was an executive order that the president put out there. So that's not related to this proposal here. So the Senate said $450 for unemployment. Okay. And like I said, the Senate right now, they can say whatever they want to say. We got to focus on the White House. We really do, because they're the ones that are going to determine this. You have a lot of senators that are just going to say whatever. They're going to say whatever because some of them just don't care, and then the rest, they're going to go with whatever the White House wants. And you don't need to get that many. You'll have, if you get all the Democrats on board, since this is a proposal coming from the Democrats, if you can get all the Democrats in the Senate on board, you have 45 there, then you have the 2 independents who caucus with the Democrats, so you'll get 47 votes right there. You really need 13 more votes, so if you can get 13 votes from the senators, the Republican senators, that's all you'll need. You have 23 Republicans running for re-election. I'm telling you, a lot of those Republicans are going to want to, say, get something, right? They're going to want to vote yes on especially when it comes to having direct payments in there, they're going to want to say yes. So if you get at least 13 Republicans and you get all the Democrats, then you're good. So like I said, the push is going to be the White House. That's what we need to be focused on. I'm telling you right now, the senators are going to be coming out with all kind of stuff. They're going to be upset with the ACA stuff. They're going to be upset with the undocumented stuff. That's going to happen. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions? Maureen saying, thank you for all you do. I watch every video. Love, love, love. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Maureen. So William is saying, so if let's see, it's moving while I'm trying to read it. So if the White House don't want the proposal, can the bill still be passed through the Senate? Okay, so this is the problem. The Senate is going to go with, or some of the senators are going to go with what the president wants. Okay, what the White House wants. That's why you have to go through the White House. That's why, I mean, the Senate's not even negotiating right now. Mitch McConnell's not in the room. It's Stephen Mnuchin and Mark Meadows. They represent the White House. They're in the room. So you need to get through the White House. Once you get through the White House, then you're going to have senators that are going to fall in line. You will. Not all of them, but you'll have at least enough to get us somewhere. Even if you don't get the 60 votes, all you need is a majority. But if you don't get the 60 votes, so let's say if you get only 51 or 52, well, technically they can filibuster. I don't know if they're going to want to do that, and they're going to be busy anyway with some other stuff that they're, with the confirmation, the Supreme Court confirmation. So it might be one of those deals where even if you don't get that super majority, you don't get the 60, you still have enough for them to say, okay, you know what, we're not going to fight this. We're going to move and do some other stuff. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to be on a couple more minutes. Thank you guys all for the likes. I appreciate it. We got to almost 1,500. Let's see if we can do that right before we leave. So if there's anyone in here who hasn't hit the like button, please hit the like button. And I'll be putting out another video tomorrow. I want to do some more research on this. Miss Happy Apple saying, thank you for supporting David. Yes, thank you for supporting. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, so Francie, So when will it be voted on? We don't know yet. Nothing on hazard pay. No, there's no hazard pay in this proposal. And that's the most, like I said, I was really excited for the prospect of having hazard pay in this proposal, only because of what Nancy Pelosi was saying on Sunday. She kept going back to the heroes. We have to support the heroes. We have to support the heroes, the essential workers. But she was talking about state and local funding. That's what she was talking about. She wasn't talking about the other part of the Heroes Act that had the essential worker pay. Wayne saying I look cool with the shades. Yeah. I don't wear sunglasses very often, but it was really, really bright sunlight yesterday. Is Mitch winning in the district? So yeah, Mitch McConnell. So he's in Kentucky. He's running statewide, so he doesn't have a district, but he is up. I don't know what the latest polls show, but the last poll I looked at was last month, and he was up by about 5 points. So that's still close. So we'll have to see where it goes. But yeah, he was up. This is a good question, Ari. As far as the people making less than $100, I would think, and I have to do more research on this, but I would think that they're just going with the same platform as before. Okay, so, and when I say before, I don't mean the executive order. I'm talking about the platform before, where the CARES Act, $600 per week. I would think they're going with that same one, but I will confirm that tomorrow. I'll do some more research just to make sure. But yeah, I don't think, because the executive order, if you made less than $100 and you didn't qualify, all that. Now, I don't think that's in this one. Okay. Miss Happy Apple's asking, what beach was that? It's an undisclosed, what's it? Undisclosed location. I can't share that with you because then everybody will be going down there. Actually, you know what's funny? When I went, I used to go there all the time, and there was never anybody there. Never. And I hadn't gone there, and it's been over 6 months. And I've been going there for probably, wow, I want to say like 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Because it was my first place where when I got my first camera, it was 2010. I used to go out there and take pictures because there's never anybody out there. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I wanted to kind of go where there were a lot of people, and I wanted to do the landscape pictures and stuff like that. And so anyway, I would go out there. But anyway, long story short, went out there yesterday. Tons of people out there camping and doing all kind of stuff. I'm like, where all these people come from? And they upped the parking fee. Like even the last time that I went, I think parking was like, for a full day it was like $6. Full day now is $10. Actually, they don't even give you a choice. If you go in the gate, it's $10, whether you stay a full day or not. It's crazy. All right. Okay, guys. All right. Any other questions? I might have skipped a couple. So if I did, like I said, you can reach out to me. You can put a comment in the comment section. You can hit me up on the Discord. So Alabama Blessing is saying, what happened to Pelosi and Mnuchin working together for a bipartisan proposal to push through quickly? So, and I said this earlier, I'll say it one more time. I'm hoping, because they talked yesterday. Okay, Nancy Pelosi and Stephen Mnuchin, they talked yesterday. So I'm hoping Nancy Pelosi let Stephen Mnuchin see what was on the table. So I'm hoping that's what happened yesterday to get his blessing. And he might not have agreed with everything on there, but he might have said, okay, you know what, this is a good framework. We'll talk about a few different things, and because they did negotiate today as well. They talked today. So I'm hoping that's what happened. Okay. But that would have been the ideal way to go about it, is to get them on board, negotiate something, and then put out the proposal. And I'm hoping that's what happened, but we just don't know. Like, we don't know exactly. And we won't know until tomorrow, or maybe even later today. People are probably talking about it, but we'll know some more information tomorrow. We'll see their response tomorrow. But yeah, we definitely need the White House to be on board. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take off. Who do we have in here? Getting deleted all over the place. Xavier. All right, anything else, guys? All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and take off. I'll be back on tomorrow, and I'll make sure to have some more information for you guys. Wow, it's getting so hot in here. I definitely got to get out of here. Thank you guys all for stopping by. Let me go ahead and do my outro, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.